I'm Carm Taglia with Top 3 Roofers podcast, and today we have Ron Snouffer. And your company is National Claims Negotiators, based out of DFW, that's in Dallas, Texas, and you're licensed throughout the country. You're a public adjuster, former contractor turned public adjuster in 2012. And I see you all over the internet, man. I see you on podcasts, news outlets, national events, speaking all over the country. And then you're also a board member of the TAPIA, that's the Texas Association of Public Insurance Adjusters. And you're both on the residential and commercial side, but you really do specialize in claims over $1 million that are on the commercial industrial side as well, correct?
That's correct.
This whole conversation is going to be about fighting the man, fighting the insurance companies. How are these insurance companies getting the best of you? How things are breaking down, how they're not paying claims, how people are not being able to do the work that they need to do on their residence or their commercial property. And then my audience, which is roofers and commercial roofers, how they can better that, how they can stop killing their own deals, when to deal with public adjusting. So I'll just come in and set the frame and say that more than half of commercial roofing claims get denied, and roughly 1 out of 3 residential claims never really turn into a roof replacement. Most paid claims are underpaid, and the insurance companies have people running scared. So, I mean, from your experience, can you validate those?
In Texas alone last year, they said that 47% of all claims that were filed had no payouts in them last year in 2025.
Ouch.
It's not a big surprise.
Wow.
Insurance companies are in the business to make money, and training has become a very big issue.
Oh, I bet, man. I mean, from your experience, I mean, negotiating, man, why do so many of these like claims break down like before they even get resolved?
Improper documentation
Okay.
and proper communication. So if you don't have good pictures out there, if you haven't trained somebody how to do a proper scope of work and how to document the damage,
Hmm.
you're gonna have a really hard time communicating to that desk adjuster that's 1,000 miles away. Whether you're writing a scope up as a contractor, you should always do that before you have that first inspection. Why? Because it sets the tone at the beginning that you know what you're talking about and you know what damage looks like, and here's what it's going to cost to repair. Too often we see these guys meet the adjuster out there and the adjuster writes the scope. And let's be honest, I know we're talking that the insurance companies not paying claims, but they have these adjusters now so overworked, it's ridiculous. They'll have a couple hundred claims that they're working through, and they're working 14, 16-hour days, and they just want to get stuff done. So they do it as quick as possible. They're not about accuracy. They're about getting it done, speed.
Oh,
So if
I
you can
bet.
help them out in any way by writing a scope, taking good pictures, so on and so forth, you're going to get a lot more claims paid on the front end.
Just to kind of define, like what's your lane? Because sometimes, you know, if a homeowner is watching this, or a property owner versus, a residential roofer or a commercial roofer, what's your lane? Like what is your relationship of your public adjusting firm with a residential roofer or commercial roofer?
So residential roofers, commercial roofers are great referral sources. They usually know when the property owner is being pushed back by the insurance company where the claim is going to be more complicated and so forth. And so they're a great referral source. As always, the customer, property owners, is our customer. That's who we write a contract with. That's who pays us. That hasn't changed since I've been in the business.
You're working with the property owners. Ultimately, you're with them. I mean, obviously you have these relationships with the residential and commercial roofers. What's your actual role when a claim just starts going sideways?
So our role is to make sure that it's properly documented. We also investigate what the policy says they have coverage for. So one of the things that's sad right now in the industry is somebody will file a claim and the insurance company won't tell the property owner, well, you do know that you had a claim from 3 years ago and your deductible then was 7,000. And then you have a claim from 7 years ago and your deductible was 5,000. We paid you below deductible both times. You didn't do any of those repairs. And now your deductible is 10 grand. So we're going to deduct $20,000 off your claim before you even start.
Oh, wow. So is that the same in all states? Because I know, like, certain states, like, if they pay out a claim, do they have to do the work? Or is that like universal all 50 states? Or is it like if they pay you out, the work has to be done? Because the rules are different everywhere, every state that you go into, I assume.
Whatever they say the scope of work was, whether it's above your deductible or below your deductible, you're responsible for those damages. If you don't take care of them and you just keep the money, then they're not going to repay you for that same damage.
Okay.
Somebody has a hail claim and the insurance company comes out and pays one slope. 2 years later, they have another claim. They file and the insurance company comes out and pays for another slope. But both times it's below your deductible. Now they come out and say, yep, you're right. The whole roof got damaged from hail, but you didn't replace the south slope and the west slope from the last two claims. So we're only going to pay for this much of the roof now. And your deductible is $10,000.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the moral of the story is probably if you get money from the insurance claim, use that for what it's
Even if
for.
you don't get money, you're responsible for that deductible portion of it. So if they tell
Sure.
you have $4,000 worth of damage and you have a $5,000 deductible, you got to fix $4,000 worth of damage on your roof.
There you go, man. Wow. Beautiful, man. I mean, so I mean, where does your role like end and then the roofers begin, or where does yours begin with the roofers? Is it the roofers are contacting you? Is it the property owners on the commercial side contacting you? Like where does your role insert inside of all this?
So we get the majority of our claims from some type of referral source, either a roofer, an attorney, a property manager, so forth.
Okay.
And where the roofer comes into play is look, if the property owner has a contractor that they want to use,
Mhm.
we come in and help facilitate making sure they get the money that they want. Because if I went out and got 10 different roofers to price out a job, I get 10 different prices. That doesn't help me. That doesn't help the insurance company. That doesn't help the property owner. The goal is to make sure that that contractor gets the money that they need to do the work.
Mhm.
Now, it can be overinflated. It can be, I want $3,000 a square for three tab. It has to be real numbers and real world.
Oh yeah. I mean, now that relationship that you have with these roofers, I mean, you could be honest here. Like, what are the most common things on, commercial properties and residential properties that are affecting, that are weakening the claim without them even knowing it?
The exclusions and endorsements are a huge thing right now.
Eh,
You have these addendums also, roof surface endorsements, which write down the policy every year. So you're not getting a true RCV policy in place. We've seen roofs where the deductibles are astronomical. Out of Florida, one of my clients had a $50 million deductible for a named hurricane storm.
Oof.
$50 million.
My God.
They
Oh,
thought they had a $500,000, but it was $50 million for named storm because it was a blanket policy over all of their policies throughout the state of Florida.
oh,
A
wow.
hospital down in Houston after Hurricane Beryl, same thing. They had a 5% deductible on a $63 million building, and their roof was only $800,000 because it was a multi-story building, but they had a $3.1 million deductible because their building was 63 million bucks. So they had no coverage. We're talking
Wow.
about hospital.
Well, what could you do to fix that? Like, is there any, I mean, it is what it is at that point, but I mean, walking in beforehand, I mean, what do you do?
We advise all of our clients, anybody that we talk to, that we will review their policy and let them know where their weaknesses are before that loss occurs.
It's probably a good idea to talk to a public adjuster like yourself, even when things are good, right? So even if you have a commercial, property, it'd be good to talk to a public adjuster, right? To make sure you have the right coverage because most likely, just in that last scenario that you gave me, it could be scary, right?
It could be. I'll give you another case. We had a claim here in Texas on a senior living facility that had 8 buildings. Each building had a $500,000 deductible for hail. They were not aware that hail was a 500,000 per building. They thought that they had a $250,000 across the board, and then it went to 2%, 500,000 for hail, but that's not what it said in the policy. The guy that actually owned the senior living facility was an attorney, and he
Wow.
did.
He didn't know it. He's an attorney. Like that's his deal, right?
That's his job. He's supposed to be able to read documents and understand them, but no, he didn't.
Oh, yeah. And
His
not to go
stuff was basically worthless.
wow. And not to go sideways, but I mean, just you're not an attorney, right? So I mean, is part of your team, part of your company, do you have like attorneys that are in house or you work with? Like, how does that relationship?
We don't have any attorneys in house. I rely on attorneys that are generally members of either TAPIA or NAPIA. They're the ones that are nationwide and understand what's the policies in each state. So those are the guys that I'll go get references from when I need them.
Nice. And then on the roofing side, well, this is mostly I see a lot on the residential side where these roofers are trying to help out with the claim, but they're actually like shooting themselves in the foot and kind of hurting the negotiation. You could talk about the residential side. I'm not sure if that happens a lot on the commercial side as well. You tell me.
On the commercial side, it's more of a business transactions. Business owners a lot of times will bring us in because they we're an expense. We're like a CPA or an attorney expense. They understand that, and they're fine paying somebody to make sure that they're taking care of and protecting the claim process. On the
Mhm.
residential side, it's a little less like that, a little less often, unless some major fire claim, something like that. Residential property owners tend to rely on their contractors. Contractors, though, aren't licensed in any of the states to do what we do.
Okay.
There's a point in time where they need to stop and recommend a public adjuster get involved, but they're passionate about what they do. They want to take care of their customers, and sometimes they go a little too far and are a little too aggressive in the claim process, which puts a blemish on all of us in the industry.
Oh wow. Do you have any like real life horror stories about that?
Uh, Roofers that went too far.
Yeah, or like I think I'm helping out here and then end up really blowing the deal or shooting themselves in the foot.
I mean, anytime a roofer is still trying to negotiate 3 to 6 months after the claim happened and they're still fighting with the insurance company, they've taken it too far.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I think about it, I have a great one. I have a great example. I had a church with a $2.5 million loss, and the property owner that was in charge put uh, it was a church, so they put a secretary in charge of the insurance claim. The
Okay.
roofer got involved. He was fighting with the insurance company. Insurance company sent over a demand for proof of loss, which by the policy here in Texas, if you don't uh, give that out within 60 days, the
Hmm.
insurance company doesn't have to pay you anything.
Oh wow.
So the roofer spent a year fighting this claim, way past their 60-day deadline of providing a proof of loss.
Oof.
We got involved. We never got told that this ever happened. We submitted the proof of loss once we got involved. They still wouldn't cooperate with us. So it did have to go to an attorney. And during the very first meeting with the judge, they pulled out that 60-day clause. And there's already statutory case law out there that says if you don't provide a proof of loss, we don't have to pay you. And they lost $2.5 million.
Wow, that's a big time.
And it was
Uh,
all the roofer's fault.
oh,
All the roofer's fault.
ouch. So I mean, moral of the story is get a public adjuster involved. I mean, too, like yes, you charge a fee. Is that fee it's a percentage, right? I mean, it's a percentage of probably what you were never going to get anyway. Like that's how I'm thinking of it. Like I don't know, is that true or no?
Uh, there's a great business development guy that says, would you rather have 90% of an ice cream cone or none of an ice cream cone?
Yeah. Yeah, like, that's the way I think, but that's you have to reframe that to get other people to think that way, right? Because like you just said, if you were never gonna I mean, those numbers that I shared in the beginning were pretty astronomical. I mean, if half of those go, especially on commercial jobs, that really hurts. On residential, financially not as bad, but that hurts your heart. You mean, like you said, like my house burns down, or I mean, that's but your roof, ends up needing to be replaced. That's your home. You live there. It's not just an investment. You don't have a bunch of investors. What does that mean to that person? That's their heart. So I mean, that really weighs in. So I guess more of the story is get a public adjuster involved early. And if, on the commercial side, I would say even before something happens to make sure that you're protected, right? And that way too, you have that relationship with the public adjuster should things go sour or when they go sour, right?
Yeah. We have a lot of clients that have us on call 24 hours. That way, if they have a fire, flood, hurricane, tornado, whatever, they know that they can count on us to make sure we get out there and document. I'm sure you're aware down here in Texas, we're not used to the snow and ice and so forth. We've had 3 snow load collapses in the last couple of days, and we got
Oof.
called immediately after those happened.
Yeah. I mean, is that like, is that in every insurance policy in Texas, or is that kind of like your insurance policy has to have certain stuff written into that? Like, what is that considered?
Collapse,
Yeah.
well,
For
depending
snow.
on whether or not you have coverage, will depend on the collapse can be quite entertaining because one of the policies we're looking at, there's 4 different points in the policy that give you coverage for collapse, then it takes it away. Then it gives you coverage, then it kind of takes it away if you read it the way they're stating. But based on the coverage that they have, we believe they have coverage. So
Oof. Yeah, man. Wow. So, I mean, yeah, anybody listening to this, especially if you have a commercial property, I would definitely reach out to Ron and have him look at your policy, even if you don't have anything, sour on the horizons, right? So now, I mean, if we could kind of pivot into like, the actual claims process, like what's the missing piece of the pie that people come to you that you're so good at that, is it documentation missing? What is it that always happens that you see over and over and over again to underpaid or denied insurance claims?
reputation and relationships are 2 huge things when it comes to getting your claims paid properly. When a PA gets involved, generally they're going to escalate it to a senior adjuster or a general adjuster. They don't just have uh, 2 chucks in a truck adjusting firm out there doing something. They're going to escalate it to somebody who is experienced who can deal with a public adjuster. And so those relationships matter. And so does the reputation before you get there. Are you somebody that is going to, like I said, write an estimate for $3,000 a square on 3 tab? Nobody should be writing that, but I see it in the industry on a regular basis, whether it be on uh, from a roofer or from a public adjuster. It happens.
So you see that all the time. I mean, just people just inflating the heck out of everything. But what happens when that happens? So, okay, I mean, you're that gets to is that getting to you, or is that coming from like the insurance company kicking it back to you? Because you're not presenting that. You're not going, "Hey, we're not going to do this," right? How does that work out?
No, but I'll see these from various attorneys saying, "Hey, can you review this estimate and tell me if it's accurate, if we're way out of place here?" Um, and I have to tell them, "Look, these are not real numbers. These are overinflated. This is not a real deal, and this is where the numbers should be." And I'm not saying that I'm going to tell a contractor what they're allowed to make because every contractor has different overhead, different ways of doing things. And so they also have different materials that they buy for different structures. So I'm never going to tell them you're only allowed to make 20% or something like that. No, your business is your business, but you can't be going in there trying to make 3,000% on a
Yeah.
claim. That's not realistic for insurance claims.
Why do you think they do that? Do you think like the mentality is it's a negotiation, start high and then you're going to meet down low in the middle somewhere anyway? What's the brain power behind that? What's the thought process?
I think there's a lot of gurus that they pay to train them on how to write these estimates that are just astronomical.
Okay.
Uh, I'm not saying that every one of them out there is teaching the wrong way to do it, but we have a lot of them in the industry that's how they're making their money is teaching people how to overinflate estimates. And then all it does is piss them off because they were told this will work every single time, and that's not true. You know, the thing about this industry is what worked yesterday won't work tomorrow, but what worked today may work again.
Yeah. And things are always changing, right? I mean,
Always.
constantly changing, especially, I mean, it also differs from state to state. You guys are in DFW, Texas. I mean, that's a hotbed for roofing, right? There's a million roofers out there. But I mean, it varies from state to state. It's definitely different than California. It's definitely different than New York. It's definitely different than Chicago, where I'm from. Yeah, I totally see that.
Uh,
So,
uh, I mean, the entertaining thing about that is that what you have to be able to adapt to is what insurance companies are allowing for. And one of the things that, like I said in the very beginning, is if you're not documenting the claim properly in the very beginning and writing an estimate, a scope of work that needs to be done, then you're going at this blind, and so is the carrier. And that adjuster, his job is to get it done as fast as possible, not accurate, as fast as possible. Close claims.
yeah,
So if you're not helping them out, you shouldn't be complaining.
I mean, what's one thing how like a roofer, commercial roof, what's one thing that they can help out with? What should they be doing in this claims process to, document and communicate damage and like what matters most from them in this
Right.
process?
Writing a proper scope, documenting the damage, taking good pictures. I can't tell you how many times I've seen pictures where it's blurry and can't see anything, and they took it from 15 feet away, and you need to take it from 15 feet away, and then go up and take a picture of the actual damage on the roof, not
Mhm.
just long distance.
Oh, I bet.
Pictures you can't even tell that there's damage when they're that far away, even with your iPhones now that are 4K.
Yeah. So they're taking bad pictures, they're doing bad documentation. What's some of the things that are missing from the documentation and scope of work that you see all the time from either on the residential or commercial side? Because obviously it's gonna be way different. I mean, residential roof versus a commercial roof, right? What's some things that are always you always see missing from these guys?
A residential roof, you might see 10, 15 pictures. Commercial roof, you might see 50 pictures. And I mean, we just did an HOA at over 3,000 pictures in our documentation.
Wow.
Guess what? The claim got paid in 90 days.
There you go. There you go. Take more pictures. More or less. Yeah.
Take a picture, describe it, let them know what the reason is, why you took that picture, and what the damage was.
So why do you think that these roofers aren't doing that? Is it just because they don't know to do that, or is it
Lack of training.
lack of
Lack of
training?
training. I go back to, I mean, I was a proponent of it when I was in the roofing industry. People would come in, we'd barely give them an interview. If they could fog a mirror, we'd hand them a shirt and say, "There's damage over in on Main Street. Go knock doors. As soon as you get a door, call us and we'll go help you do the inspection." That was it.
Mhm.
We didn't really do any training. And that was 15 years ago. Now look at it. It's still the same situation.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess it's like you said, education. So where are reliable sources outside? Because internet is big. It's a big place. AI is big. You're getting bad advice, like you said, bad gurus online. You're getting bad information from people think that Chat GPT and AI is the voice of God. It's not. It has to give you an answer, right? So is it a combination of both? They're getting bad answers from online and AI. Like, where should you go that you're getting a definitive education on what to do? I guess that's the question.
I got my best education from manufacturers. They're the ones that any speakers that they bring in, they'll usually vet and let them know whether or not they're a good speaker. And that's how I learned to sell. GF used to do a great presentation on good, better, best, on how to do a presentation when you're selling shingles.
Mhm.
There's lots of manufacturers that are doing hail, uh, uh, how to look at hail on commercial roofs. There's lots of manufacturers that are showing you how to document properly, and supply houses are another great one. Either one of
Okay.
those generally have good people that they're going to bring in that they vetted to make sure that they can do what they say they're going to do.
Beautiful, man. I love it. Yeah. What about the associations? So we have our NRCAs. I'm CRCA. Is there a place that they can go that's a association trade level resource, or should they be joining like a? You guys are TAI PIA. Is there a certain place that they can go to like that and be in as part of those associations?
I'll be honest, it's been a long time since I've looked into any of those associations. I wouldn't be able to speak. Well, I'm sure they have good training also. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. I was just wondering, just throwing that out there. So now to kind of talk about the process a little bit, who does where, what, and when. I mean, we kind of reiterated this earlier, where it's get a public and just adjuster involved as early as possible. When does it make sense to bring in a public adjuster? When is it too early, I guess?
The larger the loss, the sooner you should bring somebody in.
Okay.
Large losses are complex. They can have multiple policies involved. That same policy that I just mentioned, the HOA, had 3 different policies involved in it.
Hmm.
3 different. So you'll need to get somebody who can understand multiple policies, multiple different ways that it'll be paid out. Um, you'll you need somebody who can come in and document everything properly. And we put boots on the ground and make sure that we're documenting everything. We don't I'm not saying that a roofer can't document stuff too, because we'll rely on some of their stuff, but my guys, my team is going to go out there and do the inspections and document everything, even if it's already been done once before.
Okay. And then I guess on the residential side, is there, you said, is it, they should have a public adjuster come in when it's taking too long? Like you said earlier, that time frame of 60 days and beyond, or whatever that time frame was. When on the residential side should you bring in somebody?
Yeah, on the residential side, we see sorts of crazy things happening there. People will go ahead and do the roof before everything's approved.
Hmm.
All supplement on the backside, or they'll do appraisal on the backside, which I've never been a fan of either one of those. You should always have an agreed scope of work and an estimate that you're going off of before you do any work, because after you've done it, you may never get paid.
Yeah. So if you don't get paid, then that comes out of your pocket, right? I mean, that's that. And they already did the roof, so that's it. You're toast, right?
Yep. And Steve Badger keeps pushing back about these contracts that they have, that they'll do it for insurance proceeds. Well, if the insurance already said they're going to do it for 20, you do the work and then you want to supplement for another 10, $15,000, you may not be entitled to it depending on what your contract says.
Yeah.
Uh, but the point with that is that on residential stuff, if the insurance company is pushing back after the first inspection, only paying for a slope, only paying for partial, and you should probably get a PA involved.
Hmm.
And that's contradictory to a lot of the other people that are out there, people that push appraisal, people that push that they can fight on the second inspection or the third inspection, or I can fight with the engineer, or so on and so forth. What they don't realize is that once you started that clock, the insurance company knows that if the customer's willing to wait 60 days and you keep fighting, then they're going to be willing to wait 120 days. And time is not on the
Yeah.
that claim is going on. That customer is getting other people knocking on their doors, right?
Yeah.
Saying, "Oh, you got $20,000? We'll do it for $20,000. We'll start tomorrow." And you
Yeah.
just lost a job.
Yeah. I mean, time kills deals, right? I mean, that's a fact. And then, like
Every
you
day.
said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said every day. Time kills deals.
Yeah. So I mean, get it done soon. And then when is it, I guess, when's it too late? Like,
So every state's gonna have a statutory clause in it on how long you have to file a claim or a lawsuit against the insurance company. So if you get if your statutory issues are at 1 year, you basically have 9 months to get an attorney involved.
okay.
Wait until 9 months and call a PA. The PA, if they're a good PA, they're going to say, "It's too late to call me. Call the attorney now,"
Yep.
because you only had 9 months. Because the reason it's 9 months is you're going to give a 60-day window after that to make a demand. And so the insurance or the attorney needs enough time to file that 60-day demand and do their research to determine if it's even a valid claim. So most states are 2, some states are 1. And so if you're looking at stuff that is over a year and a half old, which going back to that church that I talked about earlier, the roofer waited over a year. They fought for over a year. They met with 2 different adjusters. They met with an engineer. They met with a roof consultant. Still couldn't get anything by. And then they finally said, "Hey, let's get a PA involved." And then 60 days, we learned that they had no claim because they didn't do what they're responsible for under their duties after a loss.
Wow.
And that's
Uh,
another big thing that property owners are aware of, whether it's residential or commercial. Your duties after a loss all fall on the property owner. So I was an IA before, and we had duties after a loss back in 2008. Well, that's slowly been eroded over the years, and now all the duties completely fall on a property owner. The insurance company doesn't have to do anything when it comes to a claim anymore, virtually.
wow. Let's talk about from a negotiation. This is probably going to be a hot button. You're probably going to get your blood boiling on this one. But I mean, when you're in negotiation, like from a negotiation standpoint with the insurance company, what separates it from not getting done and not going smoothly to getting it done on your end, like the negotiation standpoint, you fighting with the insurance companies? I mean, because they don't want to pay these out, whether it's a good claim or not.
So I have a story with regards to that. State Farm here has been in the news a whole bunch lately because of the Oklahoma issues. But I'm going to go back a little further to 2017. We had a claim. Our customer had bought a building in 2017. In 2018 of March, they had a massive hailstorm. Prior to that, in 2017, insurance company had come out. They sent 3 different adjusters for underwriting out there to do an inspection. The last guy actually said the roof was in excellent condition. It was the Cadillac of all roofs. And he approved them to go ahead and insure it. 4 months later, like I said, in March, they got hit with a massive hailstorm in 2018. And the insurance company proceeded to say it was all wear and tear, deferred maintenance. The roof was in crappy condition. So the roofer did like they're supposed to do. They met with the adjuster. They showed them all the damage, so on and so forth. And it took them about 90 days to get back with them and tell them, no, there's no damage. It's all wear and tear. The roof's in crappy condition. We recommended get us involved. So we did all of our documentation, met with the same adjuster who on that inspection, we found out this was the first time he was deployed in the field. He'd never done an inspection for a commercial roof before. First time.
Wow.
So we showed him what to look for, how to identify whether it was new or old damage. Took all of our pictures, our documentation, scoped the entire roof, submitted that package to the insurance company, and we waited several more months for them to get back with us. Now we're all the way into July at this point in time, and they decide they're going to send out an engineer. So the engineer comes out, takes a look at the roof, and he is there all day with us, 8 hours, taking pictures, photoing everything. And his report came back 16 pages long that it was all deferred maintenance, wear and tear, and there was nothing wrong with the roof. Even though he took pictures of hail damage on the roof, his 16 pages didn't have a single photo in it. So fast forward, they get an attorney involved because this should have been an open and shut case, was denying it and fighting tooth and nail on this thing. And what happened was it went to a jury verdict. During the trial, that same engineer that took 8 hours worth of pictures and a 16-page document had to admit on the stand that he took over 1,000 pictures of damage on the property and didn't include one in his 16-page documentation.
He buried it. He buried it.
Never included it. The original adjuster that we already knew hadn't been on a commercial roof before admitted he had never been on a commercial roof before.
Oh, man.
It got better. Because they were so worried about their engineer, they hired a roof consultant who did moisture testing on the roof. And so during his documentation, he showed the roof in February after a rainstorm, and the roof's just covered it in water. It's a flat roof, so you know what they look like after rain. There's water there, but it's going to drain off in 48 to 72 hours. But he didn't come back to do any of the core testing and any of the moisture mapping until August. I don't know if you've ever been to Texas before, but that particular year we had over 90 days, over 100 degrees, and over 130 days with no water, no rain. What do you think it's going to test at?
Yeah,
0 again.
exactly.
The jury read through all the BS, so on and so forth. It ended up being the largest first party award in Texas for 2021. And They got trouble damages, attorney's fees, everything involved in the process. But that was one that during negotiation you would have thought over and over again, we've proved it, we've proved it, we've proved it. What are they not seeing?
Yeah.
And we'd ask that question, what are you not seeing? What do you not understand? What do we need to clarify? And it wasn't about clarification. It was about they'd only insured that thing for 4 months and they weren't going to pay it without a fight.
Oh yeah. I
They
mean,
counted on our client giving up before they did.
well, yeah, because then you're happy to take whatever low bid, underpaid claim they give you, right? That's kind of like their strategy, right? Like, is that kind of like what insurance carriers are kind of banking on, that you'll just be so happy to take the money because they're dragging this out so long and it's costing you so much? In the meantime, on a commercial property, I mean, your cash flow is probably tanking, right? If they're dragging it out for years, is that what they're banking on, these insurance companies?
Yeah, last year at Nappy, I heard a story about a commercial cabinet maker and his building caught on fire, arson. It was a previous employer, but they blamed him, did their investigation. After 3 months, cleared him of the investigation, but they felt like they weren't going to pay it. And so the next 2 years, it ended up in litigation and so forth. But by that time, he lost all his contracts, all his subs, all his ability to make money.
You know,
And his business that was doing $7 million a year
oh,
went completely bankrupt overnight.
man. All for something that you pay into, and that's why I get it's a hot button, right? People get fired up over this kind of stuff. You see it all over the place.
I don't think enough people are talking about it, and there's not enough people who have said anything to their congressmen or their senators. Because if enough people were talking about it, they would do something to change it.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Taking action. I mean, it's just tough to do, right? It's tough to make change, especially at that level, but you have to have your voice heard, and you have to actually open your mouth and say something, so I definitely see that. Going back to that, what are some other things that insurance carriers are banking on, to deny your claim, that they just capitalize on your misery pretty much? What else are they doing?
Time is on their side. The longer they wait, the more likely they have actuaries who looked at the fact that the longer they push these things out and make it fight and harder and so forth on clients, the more likely they are to give up and or take a settlement way below what they're owed.
Yeah, so I mean, moral of the story, document everything, take millions of pictures, and don't give up, and get involved with a PA very early on, especially for large losses, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Anything complicated, complex, large fires, get a PA involved.
Beautiful. If a residential roofer or commercial roofer out there listening that wants to stop losing money on insurance jobs, what three things could they do right here, right now?
Train their guys on how to properly scope and document stuff. That's number one.
Hmm.
And then they need to do better at communicating what they've actually put in writing on that scope and that documentation. They need to be able to back up what they've stated is damage. Um, they're allowed to do proper scope, proper estimate, so forth. Those are two major things that I think are missing in the industry. And then the third is patience. You know, uh, you got to be in this for the long haul, and you got to communicate that to the property owner, because the property owner, they see television commercials every weekend. Will treat you like a neighbor. You're in good hands.
Yeah.
Don't get abused by the mayhem, so on and so forth. And all that is publicity trying to say that they're going to take care of them. But when it actually happens and they're the ones that are in the fight, you're like, who are they going to blame? Because the insurance company the whole time is trying to say, no, it's your contractor. No, it's your contractor. In reality, is it really?
It's the blame game. They bank on that, right?
They do.
And then on insurance work, so that's especially on the residential side, like that's what's like the uncomfortable truth that residential roofers need to hear about insurance work? Is it this like golden opportunity to get the insurance to pay no matter what for a homeowner's roof? Like, what is it? What's the uncomfortable truth behind that?
I think the uncomfortable truth is that roofers need to learn how to do retail. Uh, deductibles are going through the roof. There's a lot of policies out there. Here in Texas, we have ACV after 10 years now. We have 2 and 3% deductibles on roofs. And your average house in Texas is $550,000. That means 11,000 to $16,500 for a deductible. And then you have your ACV, your roof's over 10 years old. Now you're getting a third uh, of your roof off
Mm.
deducted. We had a lady call us about her roof last year. It was 2 years ago. She had a $50,000 roof retail, and she had an ACV policy, which put it at 25. And then she had a $20,000 deductible, $22,000 deductible because her house was worth $1,000,001, even though she had just paid a few years prior 600,000 for it because prices went through the roof the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And so she had $3,000 she was going to get. And that's it. It's a $50,000 roof. So they got to start educating their people about how to do retail, how to do financing. I think it's going to be a big deal in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, kind of leading into that, what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years on top of that? You see, I mean, you've got the insurance side, but then you also have the actual roofing side, the construction side. Like you said, prices are going up for everything. Pretty soon, steak's going to be $20 a pound. Like gases, it's goes up and down, but ultimately goes up, right? I mean, where do you see things going on the insurance side and also on, the actual construction of roofing side?
Well, the cost to get into this business, as far as materials, has skyrocketed since I got in the business.
Oh yeah.
I remember when a square used to be $20 for materials, and now it's 100. So you're looking at the fact that prices for construction have gone up, labor has gone up, materials have gone up, everything's gone up drastically. And because of that, that's what your insurance pricing is based on, from what you pay in premiums, and then also what you pay when you have to replace something. Insurance companies don't like replacing roofs on a regular basis. And if you're in the hail corridor, you're gonna likely get a new roof every 7 to 10 years. Well, they're trying to get rid of that completely. And if you're not prepared by being proactive and starting to train your people on how to do finance and getting vendor partners that will help you train your people on how to do financing, then you're going to be in trouble in a couple of years.
Oh, all right, man. I mean, this was great. Like, I'll wrap this up. Is there anything else like that I didn't really cover? Like, did I do okay?
You did great.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks. I love it, man. Like, is there anything else that you want to share before we? Well, how about this? Why should somebody not want to hire you? It seems like a no-brainer to me, but like, why would you not want to hire an insurance adjuster, especially your company and you?
Well, there's two sides to that. The people that want to hire us have no issue writing a check for us. I mean, our best clients are our large loss clients, and they understand the professional side of this, and they
Mhm.
understand that they're paying for a service. The people that don't want to hire us are the people that feel that they're entitled, that the insurance company should take care of them, that they should be getting paid because they have damage, so on and so forth. They're not a good fit for us.
Yeah.
They're
So
they're not.
people just have to realize that on the residential side, 1 out of 3, there's 2 out of 3 that don't get paid, right? They don't get a new roof, and then most of those that do get paid are underpaid on top of it. So it's just the framing of the mind, right? They just have to really come realize that to involve a public adjuster on an insurance claim, especially one that looks like it's going nowhere.
Yeah, like I said, too often we started to see where, like mentioned earlier, somebody had a claim 4 or 5 years ago that they paid 2 or 3 thousand on, and then 2 years ago they paid another 2 or 3 thousand or 5,000 or whatever. Now they have a third claim that they're trying to get done, and they didn't realize what they were supposed to do during those periods of time because they're like, I have insurance, it'll pay for it eventually, but now they're stuck paying for a 30, $40,000 roof out of pocket because they didn't take care of it the first couple times.
Wow.
And maybe they should have gotten paid the first couple times when they only paid for a slope or 40 shingles or whatever the case may be.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate it. I'm so happy that you came on. If there's anybody out there that is a roofer, commercial roofer, wants to make a relationship with a public adjuster, I'll tell you, Ron is the guy. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a Texas boy. He's with National Claims Negotiators, and he's, ex-contractor slash roofer turned PA, and he's been doing this for, what is it, almost like 20 years, 15, 20 years now. So definitely
2012, 14 years.
there you go. 14 years, man. I love it. All right, Ron. Thank you so much.